Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And we had two series finales. Well, one definite series finale, one very, 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 very probable series finale this week. Both of them have been freaking excellent. Westworld is the very probable series finale. For me, I'm fine with them leaving it right there. If they do another season, I'm also fine with it. But I thought it was fantastic. And we had the Better Call Saul season series finale, series finale, and probably the Breaking Bad verse from the foreseeable future finale. And it was fantastic. It delivered everything that I wanted and more, including not being given what I wanted, but sort of being given what I wanted without really knowing that's what I wanted. Very, very clever, very, very good series. I'm going to do a full series review and get to the finale. There's going to be spoilers. There's going to be some spoilers involved. If you haven't seen it, but look, the reviewers, go watch it. It's very good. If you haven't seen Breaking Bad, go watch that too. It's very, very good. What was the name of the spin-off movie with Aaron Paul, with Jesse? It was not Gran Torino, El Camino, or something like that. That was very, very good. Watch it all, because it's all excellent, high-quality television, which is something that you should always be grateful for. It's the brainchild of Vince Gilliam. Can't wait to see what he does next, right? Will it be as good? You know, that's really the tragedy. I mean, Orson Welles, they say the biggest tragedy of his career was his greatest work was his first thing he did, right? After that, he never was able to attain that level of greatness of, was it Citizen Kane? And that kind of haunted him. Will Vince Gilliam be able to move on? Hopefully. Fine. Before we get into the review, like, share, subscribe, comment, all those things are very, very good. I am very, very grateful for everybody doing those things. Yeah, I really am. I'm in some algorithmic jail, right? I got to get another 15 subscribers to pop through. They kept it here for like 6 months. It's been a nightmare. And it seems to just be moving. I get like another, as I said, 10, 15 that gets me through the next barrier. I'll get normal growth again here on YouTube. So if you could do that, that's really helpful, okay? Really, genuinely helpful, and I am very, very grateful. Thank you very much. Listen, it doesn't cost you anything, and I won't bug you. But listen, there's tons of great content here on my channel. Come and check it out. So like, share, subscribe, comment, sign up my Substack, my email newsletter. When I'm inevitably banned from YouTube, you can find me on that. I also have an account on Rumble. I have a backup account here. All kinds of stuff, and also have a paid Substack. I send out my comic books on that. Right? I write and draw comics, which are pretty darn good, if I may say so. When I remember, which is not often enough. But basically, it's a way for you to send me a few digital coppers, which I am insanely grateful for, right? There's there's this show called Joy of Art, right? Where this guy who looked like Rolf Harris, who apparently is another famous 70s child presenter pedophile now. Like everybody from the 70s, what's up with that? So this show Joy of Art was you had a guy show you how to make a painting relatively easily, and for me the joy of art is getting paid. So yeah, maybe that's part my Jewish soul. I don't know. Look, stereotypes are true, baby. So like, share, subscribe, comment, Substack, all those things are very good things. What else is a very good thing? The Breaking Bad verse, right? So Breaking Bad is a show about a science, like a suburban science teacher, a high school science teacher who finds out he has cancer, and basically he's stops taking his dissatisfaction at life, right? Stops meekly rolling over and becomes a crystal meth warlord, right? Essentially, and the fundamental message I was thinking that goes through all of these things is a Jewish idea. A Jewish idea is a vera gerera vera, or a mitzvah gerera mitzvah. What does that mean? That means that sin, it gives birth to more sin, right? Then when you sin, it opens the door to sin, and things just get worse, right? You go in. Things snowball, right? Things snowball. The opposite is true. Doing good deeds lead to doing more good deeds, and leads to generally a happier life, which is I think the fundamental message of the show Better Call Saul. So anyway, in Breaking Bad, a very good scene. They decide they need a criminal attorney, and by that they mean a criminal who is an attorney. That criminal attorney is Saul Goodman, right? Saul Goodman, a sleazy conman attorney who has all these like sleazy conmen type ads. Like, you deserve compensation. You know, the very traditional infomercial type lawyer. So this lawyer was fascinating, right? People liked him, and when Breaking Bad ended, they span him off into his own series, and you got to see how he became the person he was. And they delivered that, right? But in a much deeper and more holistic way than I was thinking, because I'm not a great TV writer, whereas Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, I think, is the other co-creator of it. Right, they're great. And what's so great about the Breaking Bad verse is the characters have a great deal of realism, and there's lots of factors going into making them into the human beings that makes them who they are. That is what I think is the story of Better Call Saul, right? So it starts off not as good as Breaking Bad was a tension fest, right? A massive tension fest. Like, it's got worse every day. So in the end of it, the lawyer Saul has to pay this guy like a huge sum, like $50,000, to relocate him somewhere. And yeah, he had this great life of being a famous sleazy lawyer, right? He loved being a famous sleazy lawyer. And so the way all the seasons would open was you saw his life today, which was all in black and white. And he's a manager of a Cinnabon, and it's like, and he goes home and he like lives in fear and hiding permanently, right? And he has like a little box of with videotapes with his old ads, and he remembers his old life, but basically lives a empty shell of who he was. And then when you go back, you go to the main part of the story, it's in color, right? So that's important, as it turns out, for the story. So the first few seasons, you get to see who he was way before then. He starts off as a character called James McGill, who's a bit of a con man. Slipping Jimmy is how he was known. And he's got a brother, Chuck, who's an incredible lawyer. Now, Chuck is bonkers, right? It's like he thinks he's allergic to electricity. So that takes up a lot of the first season. At the same time, you hear Jimmy's story about how he was rescued from jail by his brother after being caught. And he said, but things have got to change. So he came to work at the law firm, at Chuck's law firm in the mailroom. But he made good, right? He studied to become a lawyer. Chuck did not like this. He freaked out, and when they eventually had a confrontation about it, it's like you being in charge of the law is like giving a gorilla a machine gun, and he's proved right. And that's really the sad tragedy of it. He's proved right. So as things go on, Chuck and Jimmy massively fall out. And Jimmy, who's also a bit of a con man lawyer, uses his con man skills to get Chuck to lose his law insurance, so he can't practice law anymore. And it wasn't long after that the severely mentally addled Chuck kills himself. So at his partner at the firm was this very preppy, upbeat, how can I explain him? Like, very lawyerish lawyer. I'm trying to find the name of the actor who plays him. Howard Hamlin. Like, he's very waspy, like, hi, I'm Howard Hamlin, I'm a very rich lawyer. And very proper, very professional, very... So Jimmy develops an absolute hatred for him. Like, he blames him for being kept out of the law firm, for him agreeing with his brother to do that, have this whole backstory. At the same time, he also meets and falls in love with Kim Wexler, played by the incredible Rhea Seehorn, and this is probably the pinnacle of her career, which is that she is fantastic. And again, what's great about this show is how you peel away layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of the character before you get a real deep insight to who these people are. which is what I love in drama. I think it's very clever. We have a whole nother plot thread of the cartel, the Mexican cartel war, which is like blown up into a real genuine war. They got tanks now. It's a real war going on in the southern border, and like nobody's talking about it. So that's a major part of the story. So, but in terms of the development of Jimmy in this season, so eventually he takes on the name Saul. Saul Goodman. Why? Because it's like he's a Saul Goodman, right? Saul Goodman, right? So because he wants to redefine himself and be a different person, right? He doesn't want to be the brother of Chuck anymore. He wants to be his own person. His own person, as it turns out, is quite scummy. So Kim and now Saul, they are bad for each other, right? They egg each other on to go in the wrong way of life. As sin creates more sin, creates more sin. It lives in a continuum, right? And they conspire to brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly, humiliate Howard Hamlin. And frame him for being a drug addict and destroy his reputation and his career, but not really. Just give him a real sting, right? So these two, they're the two main plots intersect in this final season. And spoiler warning, right? Major spoiler warning. We haven't seen it. Thank you for the view. Go and watch the show, right? Go and watch the show. So he comes to confront Saul and Kim. After their sting goes down. At the same time, the drug war comes calling, and he ends up being an unexpected victim of it. He's dead because of them, right? And this deeply shakes Kim. There's more story to it. They're being forced to do stuff. That doesn't really matter, because what matters, this is the making of Saul Goodman, or who is Saul Goodman. And she changed her life completely. She leaves. And she goes back to where she came from, was like from Florida, and just she's full of like shame and regret for what she did to Howard Hamlin. She blames herself for his death, quite rightly so, right? Quite rightly so. And you know, you basically see this regret. So in the final season, the modern day stuff in black and white, it starts to come to the fore. Somebody recognizes him from his days in Albuquerque and knows he's Saul Goodman. And so he ends up in a criminal alliance with him because he's bored, essentially. He likes being a con, and bored, as they develop this scam where they get people drunk and drug them, and somebody breaks in and they steal all their information, and it's like this massive identity theft ring. Quite terribly so, right? So eventually it all goes south and he's caught, right? That's where we are in this final episode. And the final episode is what happens when he's caught, which is absolutely fascinating and fantastic. So again, more spoilers for the final episode. So essentially what he wants to do, firstly he's in shock and he's in despair, right? And then you see him get a plan, and his plan is when they're going to arraign him for, they have like 180 years he's going to get or something like that. He gives the story very convincingly that, look, you're never going to get a conviction. I was forced by this drug lord in Breaking Bad to do all these things. I was in fear for my life. I can sell that, right? And he knows that's the story they're saying. By the way, we get to see characters from Breaking Bad in the finale. Major character was killed at the end of the end of Breaking Bad, and his widow turns up. One of her best performances, right? Absolutely one of her best performances. It's a great cameo, right? So he sells this story, and you go, what a piece of shit that he is. Like, what an absolute, when he's looking in the eyes of this grieving widow, like, what, how evil do you have to be this much of a piece of shit? And he really is. And then he gets even worse, because he goes to confess about what they did to Howard Hamlin, and he finds out that Kim, a month earlier after he spoke with her, she says, look, you should turn yourself in. He's like, screw you should turn yourself in. She takes his advice, and she confesses everything. And her life is better for it, right? She's open to a personal lawsuit against Hamlin's widow. and she's willing to take whatever punishment she gets, because she's done wrong, she's done evil, and she is beside herself, distraught beside herself because of it, filled with remorse, right? Then Saul Goodman at the time implicates Kim in the murder of Howard Hamlin. So it ends up at the court hearing where he's basically got his sentence whittled down to 7 years in the Bernie Madoff prison, right? So from 150 years he's down to 7 years. He's probably going to get out in 2 or 3 after good behavior, and they think he's there to negotiate to get a tub of ice cream every week for his entire stay. All right, so he goes in front of the judge and he starts to give his spiel about how he was a victim and all that, and then he stops, right? And this was always his plan. His plan was he wanted to win. He wanted to show he could win, which he did. And then he confesses to everything, right? Absolutely everything. I did this because of avarice. I did this because of greed. I am, and so he ends up instead of going to this cushy prison, you see him going to this the prison that he mentioned was like hell upon hell, right? But then, and here's why I'm making this review, because the absolute ending of it was just brilliant, and I love what it was saying about it. Then you see him in prison, and his life is great, right? People like him. He's there. This is a good life. He's living a good life because he's taken responsibility for everything, including the suicide of his brother, right? And at the end of his big speech, he says, "And my name is James McGill." He throws off being Saul, right? But he can't, right? On the bus on the way in, he says, hey, you're that Saul guy, aren't you? And they're like, better call Saul. All the prisoners are better call Saul. It's scary. You think he's going to be raped and murdered any minute, right? But it turns out not that way. So the final scene is wonderful. Towards the final scene is wonderful. He gets visited by Kim. And they basically, he's got 87 years, it comes out, and they both understand each other, right? They both understand they need to do penance, right? They both understand that sin creates more sin, evil creates evil, right? And evil is just acting selfishly, right? Acting selfishly because you can, because it's without regard to other. I'm a rabbi, right? I'm a real rabbi, and I firmly believe that the root of all evil is a misuse of power, a misuse of one's personal power. And if that personal power is the gift of the gab, a misuse of that is evil, right? And it seems innocuous. It seems like it's not important, but one thing leads to another. So we have a fascinating ending, and this is why I absolutely adore this show. We're all in black and white. And Kim comes to visit him, and she offers him a cigarette. Now, having a cigarette was the first naughty thing that she did, the first breaking of her personal boundary that she did, right? So she lights a cigarette, and everything's black and white apart from the cigarette, right? The light at the end of the cigarette. And you see, and I love the messaging behind that big things come from small things. Like, yes, this is, everybody has a piece of evil in their life, a bit of naughtiness, bit of breaking bad, right? And in their lives, you've got to be kept to a minimum, right? You're never going to get rid of it altogether. But I like the acknowledgement of that. It was that tiny stone, that tiny acorn grew into this massive tree of pure evil, right? Which they were then able to cut down and create recreate their life, and they have a better life for it, right? It's very counterintuitive, right? He had a life of money and luxury, and he was never really happy, right? Now he's in prison. You see the character finally at peace, finally happy with themselves, in a way that doing everything the absolute opposite of what he thought he should be doing. And it's wonderful, right? It's absolutely wonderful. It's a really intelligent, sensitive piece of filmmaking, of entertainment, of television. Greatly recommended. Really greatly recommended. They did a fantastic job. Well done to everybody. Knocking out the park. Can't wait to see what you do next. Even if what you do next is have a bit of a vacation. Because, guys, the team behind making Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, you guys have totally earned it. This was fantastic. Thank you for the ride. I will go back and I will enjoy it many times over. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.